May your day and weekend be filled with peace, joy, and abundant blessings. Whatever you face today, may you walk in faith, knowing that God is with you every step of the way. May His love uplift you, His strength sustain you, and His grace guide you through each moment. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make His face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up His countenance upon you and give you peace. And that's coming from Numbers 6 verse 24 to 26. May this promise bring you comfort and courage as you go through your day and the weekend by extension. Can I get an amen to that? Yeah, there's no better way to start the day. I mean, that's the second time I'm doing that for the day. Yeah? I got up and looked at my, did my devotion on YouTube and things like that. You know what I'm saying? It matters not what people say. I believe in the Creator and I believe He knows everything and He sees everything and He is the fixer. Yeah, Mr. Fixer. Yeah, I'm so thankful. So thankful, man. I feel like dancing this morning.
To Lucy Thomas King.
There's a gentleman that says the only dance I have is a hand movement, a hand dance. Well, I like it. Dante, good morning. Miserable. 26 minutes on to 7 o'clock. Eggies and Chief, good morning.
Let's praise the Lord.
Morning, Dean Jones. And the guys at the garage in Redgate. Troy and my other partner, I can't remember his name now.
Yes.
Morning, Beaton, good morning.
Lift your voice.
Yeah, it's a good day to have a good day in a good way.
Praise the Lord.
The word of the day today, that word is juxtapose. Yeah, juxtapose. Right, yeah, let me get this. I had it here. What did I do with
The
it?
songs of a new day. Who caused the breeze to blow? Who make the water flow? Who gets you through the challenges of another?
Lovely. It says juxtapose. It's spelled Juxtapose. Juxtapose. And it means to place side by side for comparison. Juxtapose.
Can do it.
Place side by side for comparison, to compare them, to see which one is more beautiful, which one is stronger, which one is longer.
Yes, only Jesus alone can do it.
Here's how we can use that word in a sentence. The artist juxtaposed the light and dark colors to create contrast. The artist juxtaposed light and dark colors to create contrast.
You gotta thank the Lord.
He was making that comparison.
Thank the Lord.
Juxtapose, remember that word, right? Good, nice. Good morning to the folks at the Ministry of Education this morning.
We gotta praise the Lord.
The members of OECS Pearl. Good morning. I want to say good morning to my friend, Danny, DJ Danny. Killer song.
No need to be ashamed.
Yeah. Hey, we've got our birthday party to plan, right? The 18th of September. So we are going to invite Nazim Burke. We are going to invite Yolan Bain Horsford. We are going to invite Saj. There are a number of people that are celebrating their birthdays on the 18th of September. And we're going to have a big party, right?
Can do it.
DJ Killer Song, good morning to you and the family. Good morning, Gabriel Ranger Saj. That's his birthday too. Good morning to the Ranger family, my family in Pearls. Hope you're all doing fine, right? Nice. Petlin, good morning. Petlin, how you doing? Petlin, the firing girl. I have a friend in Mama Can that I have to go collect my farin and spice. And partners, good morning. We'll touch base over the weekend. Good morning, Mama Can. Hope everybody is fine. Best Taste Bakery, I hope that's the name. He's operating right in a Jamo space right there. So good morning to you, Mama Can. Good morning, Rusty Band family. Kitty Cat with Zingy Zing. Good morning, Moyaki and the entire family. Be strong, bros. Be strong. It's time to say morning to Debbie and the family. Good morning, Cafe and surrounding areas. Louis, check out Louis. Yeah, Louis has the best barbecue ribs, boy. Whoa. Check them out. However, Nadisha. Your motivational tip of the day is next. Nadisha, I'm not seeing you. I'm not hearing you. I hope you're fine, right? Visualize your success. Spend a few moments imagining your goals as if you've already achieved them. This reinforces motivation and builds confidence. Let me reiterate this for you. Visualize success. Spend a few moments imagining your goals as if you've already achieved them. This reinforces motivation and builds confidence. Yeah. Visualize your success. Good morning, Chester Bandy David. As that came up, I remembered in the days of McDonald College in sports when Chester Bandy was running. I remember Miss King would say, you could see he's seeing the winning pole, he's going to win. Man, good morning. Kennedy Koto, good morning to you also. Yeah, man, past students of McDonald College. Yep. Hope everybody is fine, past teachers and everybody. Miss Ram John, of course, Mommy King. She was Rennie at one point at McDonald College. Well, school is on vacation, so parents, make sure if you've got to leave the children at home, ensure that they are with an adult. Not another child looking over a child or children. That is the recipe for chaos, disaster. All right? Nice. 21 Mel just turned 20 minutes on to 7.
Holy Spirit.
Now this morning, let me just give you some program change, all right? This morning from 7:30, I will be going over to the television studio where I will have hopefully Mr. Dave Ned and Mr. Ruggles Ferguson as we delve into the most talked about issue on the island today, the constitutional amendment that is being proposed. So yeah, we'll be getting some clarification on that. 2 and 4, for and against. So your calls would be welcome, and it's the start of something. We will have continued programs as we delve into it to get the people's opinion and so forth, the populace input. So please tune in from 7:30 to 8:30 this morning. Hopefully, we should have a King's Counsel Ruggles Ferguson and also hopefully Mr. Dave Ned. So keep listening for that. What's buzzing this morning? Buzzing. Let's see what's buzzing this morning. All right, a 21-year-old is charged with firearms-related incident. Grenada among countries represented at the 8th meeting of ministers responsible for public security in the Americas. In the region, Barbados Police Chief calls for national unity as firearm violence rises. So it's a regional thing, you understand? Hence the reason why it is often said, when one country sneezes, others catch the flu, yeah? One would have thought that, this sort of thing we hear it in Trinidad and Jamaica and the big countries, but it's becoming a pandemic, yeah. Internationally, Pakistan monsoon rains. The death toll there rises to 159 after 63 people died in one day. And in sports, a marathon record holder Ruth Chepengetish suspended for positive doping test. She cheated, so she's being investigated. Yep. Nice.
My God is worthy to be praised. My God is worthy to be praised. As I draw
So folks, you know, we've got Spice Up the Carnage Soca Mona coming up, right? Okay, so yeah, it returns for the second year, turning up the energy on the Carnage with raw, unfiltered Grenadian soca talent. It's organized by the GBN, and this competition is more than just a show. It's not just a show. It's a cultural movement. It reflects GBN's mission, which is to amplify local voices, support the creative arts, and bring families together for safe, vibrant entertainment. So it starts on the 25th, that's next Friday. It starts at 3 p.m. The quarterfinals will be held on that date, as Friday the 25th from 3 p.m. The semi-final will be on Thursday, July 31st at 4:30 p.m. And the final will be on Friday, August 8th from 4:30 p.m. Now all events light up the Carnage, turning the waterfront into a live soca battlefield. Well, of course, you know, yours truly will make a guest appearance there. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So I urge you, I implore you, I encourage you to start planning for that, all right? Spice Up the Carnage Soca Monarch starts next Friday, the 25th, 3 p.m. Vendors and so forth, contact Eugenia and the GBN, and let's get the ball rolling. Folks, the AM edition of News, Sports and the Weather comes up right after these messages. Don't you...
Calling the CARICOM community, assembling Global Africa, the 4th edition of the Afri-Caribbean Trade Investment Forum. Active 2025 is coming to St. George, Grenada, this 28th to 29th July. Join government and business leaders, investors, and trade and finance institutions to explore the theme, resilience and transformation, enhancing Africa-Caribbean economic cooperation in an era of global uncertainty. Be there as we stand together to strengthen our commercial ties, to promote shared trade and investment opportunities, and unlock prosperity for Africa, the Caribbean, and the wider diaspora. The 4th Afri-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum. Reserve your place now at active2025.com. Closer to me.
Distributed by Echo Blue Limited. Visit us on the Lansopine Main Road. 405-4818.
Freedom is driven to pursue that passion that keeps you up at night and makes you smile in your sleep. Freedom is bold to embrace the possibilities that can open up your world and conquer new heights. Freedom is fabulous, with bits and pieces that enhance the quality of your life. Freedom is what you do with the flexibility to change path or direction when you need to. Freedom breeds ambition and purpose while having loads of fun along the way. But most of all, freedom is well-deserved for the road traveled and the journey still to come. Unleash your freedom with Nexa Credit Union. Call us on 440-1354 or visit our website to pre-apply. Apply now. Freedom awaits. Terms and conditions apply. Nexa Credit Union, with you wherever your road leads.
Folks, this is the morning GBN Morning News for today, Friday, the 18th day of July 2025. Now, coming up in the news, a 21-year-old charged with firearm-related incident. Grenada among countries represented at the 8th meeting of ministers responsible for public security in the Americas. In the region, Barbados police chief calls for national unity as firearm violence rises. Internationally, Pakistan monsoon rains, death toll rises to 159 after 63 died in one day. And in sports, marathon record holder Ruth Chepngetich suspended for positive doping test. We've got the details to these and more after these messages.
Spice of the Carnage Soca Mona competition. The heat is on the Carnage. It's GBN's Spice of the Carnage Soca Mona competition. And the stage is set for an unforgettable showdown. Watch as Grenada's top soca artists go head to head in a battle for soca supremacy. It all starts with quarterfinals. Friday, July the 25th at 3 p.m. Semifinals, Thursday, August the 31st at 4:30 p.m. Grand finals, Friday, August the 8th at 4:30 p.m. All happening on the Carnage Pedestrian Plaza. It's GBN Spice of the Carnage Soca Mona competition, hosted by the sensational Lava Man. The second edition promises pure vibes, crowd energy, and lyrical fire. Spice of the Carnage Soca Mona competition is proudly sponsored by Telecommunications John's Flow and powered by GBN. Follow GBN for updates and come support your favorite artists on the road to the crown. It's Spice of the Carnage Soca Mona competition.
Do you have multiple loan payments? Is your debt weighing you down? Ariza has the solution. Simplify your loan with Ariza's Simplify Loan promotion. Now you can combine all your payments into one easy, manageable loan. Enjoy lower interest rates, flexible repayment terms, and more cash in hand for what truly matters. Less stress, more freedom. Live comfortably while reaching your financial goals. Ariza helps you simplify your life because you deserve financial freedom. Apply now. Visit any Ariza branch or WhatsApp us at 423-4987.
Share the great taste of Grace Foods.
Quality nutrition from generation to generation.
The goodness of Grace Foods.
Bringing good taste to life.
Good morning, everyone. With the news in detail, I am Gordon Joseph. A 21-year-old tour guide from Sab in St. Andrew has been formally charged in connection with a firearm-related incident that occurred earlier this week. Aziel Antoine is facing 3 charges: possession of a firearm, possession of ammunition, and discharging a firearm. The charges are linked to an incident reported on Monday, July 14th, 2025 in Sab in St. Andrew. Antoine appeared before the Grenville Magistrates Court on Thursday 17th, where he was remanded to His Majesty's prisons. He is expected to return to court on Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025. Grenada was among the countries represented at the 8th meeting of ministers responsible for public security in the Americas, held in the Dominican Republic from July 16th to 17th, 2025. Commissioner of Police Randy Connaught attended the high-level forum, accompanied by Her Excellency Tali Francis, Grenada's permanent representative at the Organization of American States, the OAS. The meeting focused on enhancing enhancing regional cooperation in public security and advancing police reform across member states. Additionally, both officials participated in the closing ceremony, the OAS Red Paul Police Development and Professionalization course held from June 23rd to July 16th, 2025. The course brought together 62 law enforcement professionals from 28 countries. Representing Grenada's Royal Grenada Police Force were Inspectors Michel Bidot and Osborne Campbell successfully completed the intensive training program. Grenada is diving back into ecotourism with the return of a beloved marine festival this October. The Grenada Tourism Authority has officially revived the Dive and Conserved Festival set for October 25th to 31st, 2025. The week-long celebration invites divers, conservationists, students, and ocean enthusiasts to explore Grenada and Carriacou's underwater treasures while learning about marine protection and sustainability. This year's lineup includes daily guided dives at top-rated sites, promoting responsible diving and showcasing Grenada's vibrant marine biodiversity. A highlight of the festival is the Conservation Conversations speaker series, where global experts, local dive shop owners, and environmental partners will lead thought-provoking discussions on reef preservation and eco-diving. Students are especially encouraged to attend and engage in these ocean-focused sessions. Festival activities also include an opening night celebration, beach cleanups on the East Coast, nature education days, and a special dive trip to Carriacou's new underwater sculpture park, A World Adrift. Conservation projects such as coral restoration and sea turtle protection will be featured to further highlight the island's commitment to marine preservation. Mount Cinnamon Beach and Wellness Resort has been named the official host hotel, while other accommodations and dive shops across both islands will offer special rates to festival goers. And finally, a courtesy call on Prime Minister the Honorable Deacon Mitchell on July 9th, 2025 marked a significant step in deepening relations between Grenada and Thailand. The meeting involved Shubhodip Persanta Das, recently appointed Honorary Consul for Grenada in Thailand, along with Z Ho Heng, business manager for Mr. Das's group of companies, and Ambassador Dr. Richard Nixon. Prime Minister Mitchell welcomed the delegation and underscored the importance of strengthening diplomatic relations, expanding economic trade, and pursuing initiatives that improve the well-being of both nations. He commended the Honorary Consul's commitment to building partnerships that align with Grenada's development priorities. Mr. Das expressed his eagerness to collaborate with Grenada and outlined several key areas of interest, which includes investment in manufacturing and food processing to enhance export value and reduce imports. Also, promotion of tourism with a focus on nomad visa and visa waiver programs, training and support for creatives and Caribbean film production, and also exploration of energy initiatives, waste management, and cannabis research and development. Mr. Das noted that his immediate priority is to engage stakeholders in Grenada's manufacturing sector in collaboration with Ambassador Nixon and the Grenada Investment Development Corporation, the GIDC, to explore opportunities for economic growth and innovation. The government of Grenada anticipates a productive partnership with Honorary Consul Das, contributing to stronger cultural, trade, and developmental ties between Grenada and Thailand. That concludes the first segment of news. The local segments stay with us, the regional and international developments, along with the sports and the weather. They are straight ahead. Welcome back, folks. For news around the region, we hear that the Barbados Chief of Police, he calls for national unity as firearm violence rises. We have more in this OCM News report.
In Barbados, as the country records its 30th murder for the year, Commissioner of Police Richard Boyce issues a powerful call for national unity to combat escalating firearm-related crimes, particularly among young people. However, the appeal comes amid a pressing challenge, which are deep-rooted public distrust in the police that Professor Dwayne Devonish warns could hinder efforts to improve safety. Addressing the 149th passing out parade of the Barbados Police Service at the Regional Police Training Center at Seawall yesterday, Commissioner Boyce acknowledged the growing threat of firearm-related crimes. He said it's especially among the youth and underscored the need for a united front against crime. He cautioned there is evidence of a broad regional consensus that crime levels as they relate to firearm-related offenses are on an upward trajectory. In Jamaica, Chairman of the Jamaica Debates Commission, Brian Schmidt.
Looking further afield, however, before we go that far, I just want to make an interjection here. Unconfirmed reports, and please note the word unconfirmed, all right? There are reports that there could be a possible suicide in the village of Vendam in St. George. The GBN will follow up on this information and give you a more detailed report in our midday newscast. Looking further afield, heavy monsoon rains across Pakistan's Punjab province have killed at least 63 people and injured nearly 300 in the past 24 hours, provincial officials said, bringing the nationwide death toll from the rains to at least 159 since late June. The downpours on Thursday caused flooding and building collapses, with most of the deaths caused by roofs of weaker homes falling. Lahore, the eastern provincial capital, reported 15 deaths. Faisalabad say they saw 9 deaths, and the farming towns of Okara, Sahiwal and Patan had several more. The United Kingdom and Germany have signed their first bilateral treaty since World War II, pledging to deepen cooperation on defense at a time of growing threats to Europe. The Kensington Treaty, signed by UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and German Chancellor Friedrich Merz on Thursday, includes clauses on mutual assistance in case of attack and on joint export campaigns to drum up external orders for military hardware, such as fighter jets that the countries produce together. And finally, President Donald Trump underwent medical testing after he had been seen with deep bruises on his hand and swollen legs in recent days and was diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said on Thursday. Leavitt said Trump noted mild swelling in his lower legs, which prompted the White House medical team to evaluate him. They concluded that Trump has chronic venous insufficiency, a condition in which there is inadequate blood flow in the veins in the legs. This can cause the blood to pool, causing swelling in the lower legs. That concludes the regional and international news. Stay with us. The sporting highlights are straight ahead. Good morning, sporting fans. Women's marathon world record holder Ruth Chepengetish has been provisionally suspended for a positive doping test. Track and Field's Athletics Integrity Unit, the FIU, said on Thursday that Chepengetish tested positive for a banned diuretic and masking agent in March and opted for a voluntary provisional suspension, while the AIU's investigation investigation was ongoing. The Kenyan runner set the world record by almost 2 minutes at the Chicago Marathon last October in a time of 2 hours, 9 minutes, 56 seconds. It was her third win in Chicago. She also won the women marathon in 2019 World Championships in Qatar, while the women's race started at midnight to avoid extreme daytime heat. The AIU gave no timetable for a disciplinary case for the 30-year-old runner. Chepengetish was interviewed in person in Kenya in April and complied with requests regarding our investigation, AIU official Brett Clothier said in a statement. The substance Chepengetish tested positive for, hydrochlorothiazide, or HCTZ, can be used to disguise the use of performance-enhancing drugs. That's all the sports we've got for you at this time, folks. We'll have more sports in our luncheon newscast and in our primetime news. Stay with us. The weather forecast is straight ahead. All right, folks, for the latest weather forecast, we join forecaster Andre Charles at the forecast desk at the MBIA. Good morning to you, Andre.
Good morning to you and to listeners of General Public. And here's the weather for today, Friday the 18th of July, 2025. Currently it's fair and slightly hazy. Winds are from the east-northeast at 7 miles per hour. Barometric pressure 1015.5 millibars. That's above normal and rising. Present temperature 26.8 degrees Celsius. Relative humidity 85%. Yesterday's maximum temperature 31.7 degrees Celsius. Last night's minimum 26.8 degrees Celsius. Over the past 24 hours, no rainfall was recorded. Hence, the total for the month remains at 52.5 millimeters. Now to have a look at the forecast for today and tonight. Today we expect some generally fair and slightly hazy conditions with brief isolated afternoon showers becoming more frequent tonight as cloudiness increases. Maximum temperature 32.5 degrees Celsius. Winds east-northeasterly to east-southeasterly at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Seas moderate with 4 to 6 feet in open waters. Tides will be high at 8:45 a.m. and low at 3 p.m. Sunset today at 6:36, rises tomorrow at 5:51. Just a repeat of the forecast, that's for the day and tonight. Generally fair and slightly hazy with brief isolated afternoon showers becoming more frequent tonight as cloudiness increases. Maximum temperature 32.5 degrees Celsius. I'm Andre Charles, reporting from Met Office. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andre. Have yourself a wonderful day, a restful weekend, and we look forward to communicating on Monday.
Definitely, and thanks. Have a good day.
Have a great one. Folks, the weather forecast came to you with the kind compliments of Rennick and Thompson Company Limited.
Get money where you are, almost anywhere you are, send money over with Western Union.
This is Whoa, oh, oh, whoa. This is Whoa. It's Western Union. Send to your friends and your family. With Western Union, we're moving money. No matter where you are, you will never fall.
Get money where you are, almost anywhere you are, send money over.
Move it for better.
Western Union, moving money for better.
And folks, 6 minutes after 7 o'clock to end the news, a recap of the headlines. 21-year-old charged with firearm-related incident. Grenada among countries represented at the 8th meeting of ministers responsible for public security in the Americas. And as I hinted to you on the local scene, there are reports of a possible suicide in a village in St. George. In the region, Barbados police chief calls for national unity as firearm firearm violence rises. Internationally, Pakistan monsoon rains death toll rises to 159 after 63 died in one day. And in sports, marathon record holder Ruth Chepengetish suspended for positive doping test. Folks, that has been the morning edition of news for today, Friday, the 18th of July, 2025. On behalf of the entire news department, I am Gordon Joseph, thanking you for viewing and listening, wishing you a productive day, a safe, enjoyable weekend. Get some rest, as much rest as you possibly can. And most importantly, I'm still extending that invitation to you to stick and stay with the network, because we are with you anywhere and everywhere. Don't forget, stick with us. The traffic report is up shortly.
JKT Entertainment is bringing the heat. It's time to feel the sound and smell the burn. Bass and burn, cars and noise. The automotive experience of the year. July 26th and 27th at the National Stadium Car Park. It's 2 days of adrenaline-fueled madness with over 30 show cars from Trinidad, including Lethal Auto, MacGyver Sounds, and Simplicity Creations, plus Grenada's own beasts, bringing the noise.
He'll say your back, come touch me then.
Early bird tickets are just $50. After that, it's $60. Get yours now at gotofed.com and all authorized ticket outlets. Gates open at 11 a.m. on both days. Sponsored by Country Cold Store, SP's International, Campari, Stag, Rubis, Fast Print, Waggy Tea, GMC, Rainbow Janitorial, Eco Blue, Spice Style Automotive, and McIntyre Brothers.
Wednesday, August 6th, Concept Events, together with Flatlands Park Ship and Print, present Pre-Day, Black and Bougie, featuring Telpre, the Jab Boss, and his Grenadian family.
We coming through. Lot of people coming through.
This is Pre-Day, featuring Tara the Governor.
I said, we get them job. We go get them job.
Muddy, Capital Jab, Boise,
I don't give one boy. We don't do it.
What's Way,
Nobody I know them others can't.
Lava Man,
When I think me strong, all kind of thing I tell me. Mother, tell me who mother.
Wonder Daddy, Vaughn, and so much more. Wednesday, August 6th, the Grenada National Stadium. Gates open at 10 p.m. Showtime 11 p.m. Grenada, get ready. This is Pre-Day. Black and Bougie.
Grenada, August 13th is all about Kesley Band for the ultimate cool down party. It's all about Carnival Encore. You thought we missed it, and now we can't miss it.
Miss Oceanet, girl, I'm coming home, I want to see you again. All day through the night, I'm dreaming. Yeah, Miss Oceanet, way you turn it up, make it smooth, my darling. When outside is pouring rain.
It's a busy world, and we all know the saying, time is money. Meet Candice and Oliver. They both have busy days ahead. Let's see how that goes. Candice is in a rush, off to the bank, again. Oh, looks like she didn't plan for traffic, or this long line either. Now let's check in on Oliver. His morning starts a little differently. Using his phone, Oliver makes a peer-to-peer transfer and pays his bills, all while having his morning coffee. At the store, Oliver checks his finances with online banking. Candice? Still waiting. Back to Oliver. He stops at the bank to meet his loan officer. While waiting, he schedules a payment and makes a wire transfer. Wondering about Candice? Yup, still waiting. Candice could be like Oliver if she uses Co-op Bank's e-solutions. Make your day easier with Co-op Bank's swift, simple, and secure e-banking platform. Bank on your terms, from anywhere, at any time. Click, tap, done. Banking just got easier.
Welcome home.
Our world is filled with rhythm. Rhythm that's unapologetic, infectious, timeless. Rhythm is commitment in action. It's how we show up for each other with unrelenting support that goes the distance. Rhythm lives in the tiny beats of our most intimate moments and the seismic roars of our biggest achievements. Rhythm is resilience in motion. So even when things go out of sync, we do what it takes to bring the rhythm back. At Flow, we understand your rhythm because we live it. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you, with a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do, and our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing, no matter what.
It's back, and it's bigger, bolder, and funnier than ever. It's proudly sponsored. 5 is coming to the Grenada Youth Center on Sunday, July 20th from 3 p.m. Brought to you by the St. George's Lions Club, Spice Mass Corporation, and Grenlec. Bring the whole family for an afternoon of laughs, local entertainment, exciting prizes, and a special appearance by the Carnival Queen contestants. Tickets are just $40 for adults and $15 for children 12 and under. Available from any Lions or Leo member. Grenada and Optical and Clear Vision. All Mass 2025. Sponsored by Demerara Mutual Life. And with Dem.
Mobility, a common theme woven into the very fabric of human history. From ancient wanderers to modern explorers, our instinct to move, to seek something greater, and to grow has always driven us forward. Imagine a journey into pathways of boundless opportunities and endless possibilities. A collective future where the vibrant rhythms of the Caribbean, rich culture, and welcoming community create unforgettable experiences. Beyond citizenship by investment, we believe in our collective investment of time, resources, and energy that fosters innovation, creates jobs, and enriches lives, driving the growth of an entire nation. The Investment Migration Agency Grenada boasts over a decade of exceptional service and remains committed to guiding you toward global mobility and economic freedom through investment. Your journey becomes our shared story of progress and prosperity. This is an invitation to be part of something greater, something enduring. Begin your journey at imagrenada.gd. IMA Grenada. Unlock the possibilities.
All right, folks, it's now 14 minutes after 7 o'clock. I now join my good friend Corporal Troy Paul from the Traffic Department of the RGPF for this morning's traffic report. Corporal Paul, good morning.
Good morning to you and good morning to all your listeners, and it is always a pleasure being here this morning and to share the traffic update. It is Friday, as we normally say. Thank God it's Friday. It's also a beautiful day, and we can dive right in and start with the traffic is rather quiet at the moment for a Friday morning in most of the reported areas, and we can safely say that our roads are free from any obstruction at the time. I'm currently in the area of Woburn, and we start seeing a build-up in the traffic there that is coming out from the Caledini direction, and these traffic go down to the Toby Road and onto the most of them go onto the Grandlands Public Road. So we know as we get closer to the 8 o'clock hour, we expect a little bit more traffic along that road. So we want persons, if you have not left home as yet, to get to work for 8 o'clock. You should do so to avoid any congestion or any delays as you get along, especially the Caledini, Toby, or the Grandlands Public Road. So far, no accidents have been reported along those roads, and just so the road is free from any obstruction. So as I I've stated earlier on, you can get to your destination safely and freely. For the past 24 hours, we had a total of five minor accidents, and that is reasonable. But we still want persons to drive safely, continue to drive safely, so that one day we can say we had no accident for the past 24 hours. But we are grateful for the fact that these accidents we can reduce the numbers that we had from a day-to-day basis. But it's Friday, and we expect some traffic to be along the road during the time of the day, and we start seeing a number of visitors arriving on our islands, and most of them are looking to drive. So we ask that as we drive along the road with them, we drive extra cautious. Some we fully know the rules and regulation of our roads, but we still have to look out for some of these drivers. Notwithstanding, we have work going on along the Calivini-Calais Point Road, so we ask persons to be cautious around between the hours of 8 to 5 and exercise some caution. There will be some digging, so persons are expected to have a little delay, but not so much to warrant, but we still expect persons to be cautious while driving along these roads. It's the weekend, and we want persons to be mindful. Fridays, persons tend to consume a little more alcohol than normal, and we want you to be responsible drivers, especially in your drinking. And so we urge persons that if you're drinking, please have a designated driver, or use other means of transportation. Your life is important, and the other person's life is also important as well. And we don't want anybody to be statistics over the weekend. And then all we say, the question we ask everybody on a daily basis:
if you're texting,
then who's driving?
Who's driving? Corporal Paul, have a restful weekend. I know you've had a hectic week, and get some rest. Do your work, but get some rest and come back rejuvenated for next Monday.
Most definitely.
Have a good one, bro. All the best. Folks, that has been the traffic report for this morning. We take a quick commercial break, and I've got a surprise guest in studio. Randy Isaac is with me this morning for a brief moment.
Looking to shop online from your favorite stores like Amazon and Shein? With GPC Global, it's never been easier. Get your very own US address and shop from around the world. With GPC Global, you can order the latest trends and must-have items, all delivered straight to Grenada to your closest post office for your pickup. We offer the cheapest rates, and our service is reliable and quick. No more waiting for weeks for your packages. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Join the Grenada Postal family today and start shopping smarter. Visit us online at www.grenadapostal.com or call us on 437-POST. That's 437-7678. GPC Global, your gateway to the world.
It's back, and it's bigger, bolder, and funnier than ever. Old Mass 2025 is coming to the Grenada Youth Center on Sunday, July 20th from 3 p.m. Brought to you by the St. George's Lions Club, Spice Mass Corporation, and Grenlec. Bring the whole family for an afternoon of laughs, local entertainment, exciting prizes, and a special appearance by the Carnival Queen contestants. Tickets are just $40 for adults and $15 for children 12 and under.
Conditions apply.
Any Lions or Leo member, Grenada Optical, and Clear Vision. All Mass 2025. Sponsored by Demerara Mutual Life. I'm with Dem.
Is rerun with. Served Grenada for decades. We are the #1 and largest electrical supplier.
Hi, welcome to Sunny Electrical. How may I help?
We offer electrical wire and accessories, tools, and appliances for all residential, commercial,
Faster 50
applications, which is what we are known for. And we expanded our products with new innovative ways to modernize your home. New homeowners will be captivated in our lighting showrooms.
Some more pendant lights here. These are very multifunctional because they can work offer kitchens, living rooms, bedrooms.
We have a wide selection of lighting, ranging from indoor to outdoor and solar. We are sensible for site visit services to assist you with selecting the perfect light for your forever home. We are located at Dusty Highway in Grenada and St. George. Sudden Electrical. Best value, expert advice, quality products. We hope to see you soon.
In our part of the world, we need to be prepared for natural disasters like storms and hurricanes, even outside of the season. I'm sure you'll agree that keeping our loved ones, homes, and businesses safe is important. So, I came up with a few quick tips to help you stay safe. First, make a family disaster plan and ensure that everyone in your household is familiar and comfortable with it. Remember to add batteries and flashlights to your emergency kit. Don't be caught off guard by natural disasters. Prepare now. For more information, visit grenlec.com.
Whether you're refreshing a bedroom or giving your home a bold new look, the Color Shop has the perfect paint and tools to make it happen, inside and out. With quality finishes to match, we make painting easy from start to finish. Whether it's a DIY weekend or a contractor starting a brand new project, the Color Shop is the trusted choice.
Grenada, good morning. 23 minutes after 7 o'clock. Randy Isaac, I usually refer to him as a brother from another mother. Randy and Squeezy are two of the Calypsonians that when my first year in singing and I went to New York, Randy and Squeezy took me under their wings. I remember Randy and I was sleeping on the same bed in New York. You remember that? Buffalo between Atlantic and Pacific. Yeah. Good morning, Randy. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm hanging in there, enjoying the moment, enjoying the build up to Spice Mass 2025, having a really good time. I mean, I released a few songs, not all, but I'm very pleased with the response, and I see the people is loving it, and I'm ready.
Calypso, since last year you and I were having this fight when you said because you got yourself whooped last year, you ain't coming back. What is your situation with the Calypso Monarch competition?
Innocent, as you know, I've been doing this thing for a very long time. I understand the criteria. I work towards it, especially when it comes to Calypso. And if 2 years in a row you put me 7, I don't think you see me. Okay. I don't think they saw me.
Do you think it has anything to do with your height?
Maybe. I should have worn my hat. I don't think they saw me. So I taken this time to step back and look at the things that making people get ahead of me in competition, and I'm not getting there because it's a while I haven't seen the winner sucker, and so I'm taking this time to sit back and watch and learn and to come again. Sometimes you have to take a step back to come full force, and I think that will help me because I'm seeing a lot of things already. So next year I'm celebrating 40. I'll be a force to be reckoned with, God's willing. And this year will be, a learning process for me.
Okay, so you're not done with Calypso. You've just taken a break for 2025.
Yes.
Okay, so
definitely
for 2026 we can look forward to Randy coming, as Donald Trump will say, bigly.
Yeah, big and beautiful.
Yeah, the big and beautiful bill. Right. So you've been here. You've been in. We know you reside in New York, but you've been in Grenada more regular than some Grenadians in recent times. What are your thoughts on the music that you've heard? First, Calypso. because I know calypso is really your root, that's your passion. All right, you've deviated to, well, which is also calypso, the groove and the soca, the derivatives from calypso. But what are your thoughts on the calypsos that you've heard thus far?
Well, I haven't heard enough because I don't know why. Most of the guys are not recording their songs, but I had some very interesting calypsos. I remember listening to my 10th Kaiso Bads, and I really enjoyed Teacher Eddie, Prince. I really enjoyed these two guys, and I like Young Song. There's a lot of guys I like. Innocent. I'm not just saying that because he's here. I heard his song, and I think he would give a very good account of himself, defending his crown in 2025. I'm proud of you, my brother. You remember you used to carry my suit bag.
I just knew you were gonna rub that in. Yeah, I remember those days going to the shows in New York and everything, and I had to carry Randy clothes bag and stuff. But it paid off.
I mean, you learn a lot.
Of course.
And I know you will do a good job. I will be there cheering for you and my other colleagues. The March Gras, I want people to come out and support Calypso because it's the foundation of the art form. It's the roots of the art form, That's why you see I can't really let it go. I can't sit here and say, okay, this is it for Andy Isaac. I'm not singing no Calypso anymore. But one thing I want to get straight, because I've been branded as a Calypso artist over the past few years, and I want to let them know history have shown that every time I took part in the Soca Mona competition, I'm in the finals. I missed Calypso finals a couple times, but I never missed Soca Mona finals.
Really?
I travel the world representing this country with soca and groove. All over the place, entertaining people, making people dance and jump and wave. So how you could brand me? And the people know who I'm talking to. The organizations and the promoters who brand me as a Calypsonian. I'm not a Calypsonian, man. I do all the genres. I'm capable. I one of the fourth artists who used to make it to all the finals. So all of a sudden you brand me a few years later. Come on, man. But look at me. I have a whole lot of things to do on stage and make you happy and make you dance and wave.
Randy, I think it has to do with the fact that you're aging. So they don't expect it. Like for example, me, I can't see myself singing a soca song.
What are you? But I got to tell you, age is just a number.
Yeah. Okay. He celebrated 90 the other day.
Yeah. I was here already.
Okay. Yeah.
So I didn't. But I celebrated him.
This is one of your big songs. I'm kind of hurrying you through because I want you to come back to my program subsequently that we could have a long chat. But I have this, high-profile conversation that I'm having shortly. So I want to get your take. This is one of your big ones for 2025. Who Jah bless?
I'm feeling good. Who Jah bless? Tell somebody. No man should. Let them know. Please don't tempt me. When you see me, you don't know the things I've been through. It wasn't easy. No. Please don't grudge me. No. What for me cannot be for you. I have been down on my face. You could never run my race. I am standing here by grace. Almighty. I had my back against the wall. Some of my friends have let me fall. I've been through it all.
Tell me about this.
This song came about funny because I know you heard in the junction, right?
Yeah.
This was prepared for Groovy Monarch. Say I'm going in with the party in the junction. And I went through a very tough time this year. I'm not going to give no details, but I went through a very, very, very tough time earlier this year. I came from Cuba and all hell broke loose. And I pulled through nicely, thank God. I have to give God thanks and praise for that. And I called Radford. I say, Radford, you know, to be here talking to you today, you know what I mean? Mr. Leg send this rhythm, we got to do something on it. And we sat down to work, and Who Jah Bless come along, and that's the song, because it just, you know, it uplift me, you know, it make me feel good again, you know what I mean? And
are we talking health-wise, right?
Something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it make me feel good again, and I just feel so good singing this song, giving praise to the Most High, and you know, people could relate to it because everybody go through, you know, tough times in life, and to be here performing for Carnival 2025, you know, Spice Mass Carnival 2025, it feels good just to go out there and let the people know there is a God above always watching over you.
Because you're saying that based on the circumstances that you went through, you never thought you would have been for Spice Mask.
Nah, that's there maybe a year or two off. And,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. But you, I mean, that's the thing about you, Randy. Even if you're not competing in Calypso, but you have music out that are still burning the airwaves. For example, this one is another big one from Randy.
Real vibes, place nice. Take Jones, turn it up. We ready to fight. We ready. We ready to fight. We ready. We ready to fight. We ain't going home yet. Look at the party bubbling. Party sweet, party now.
I drink so much rum I'm tumbling.
Can't believe I'm so high.
I stand on my feet and struggling.
I don't know.
All I know outside partying with me friend and them. Party in the junction.
Tell us about this, Randy. Tell us about this.
I tell you, this was the song that was prepared for Groovy Monarch. This was the song. Peck Jones, I want to, you know, give kudos to him. He did a fantastic job on this. And when he finished, he said, Randy, listen to this.
Yeah.
And he worked magic on this song. The music is live music. Nice chords in there, you know. It's full of energy and everything put into this. But when Who Jah Bless came along with the sweet melody and you know what I mean, and the hook, the chorus, and the message in the music, and when I listened to the criteria, and the people call out to me because I was on a program earlier this week with Arona, and we had a survey, and we asked the people which one we going in, and he was like, I think was 75 to 25.
Who Jah Bless.
Who Jah Bless. So I'm doing it for the people because most people could relate to going through tough times and getting over it. And
were you talking to the master of this?
No, I'm talking about.
You're talking to the master. Sometimes I myself wonder how I smile.
I have to smile. I wake up this morning, had a nice warm shower, and I get here almost half an hour before the time you tell me to come here.
Yeah.
You know, and I have to give thanks and praise. I have to say thanks to the Almighty. You know, I have to look up to the Most High and say thank you for having me, making me wake up this morning. Yeah.
Okay. So. All right. So as we wrap up, Randy, like I said, we have a big build-up program coming up where you know you would be featured, of course. You know that's personal too. What can the fans expect from you come Groovy Monarch?
Groovy Monarch, of course. I remember when I sang in the preliminaries, people said the song didn't finish. Yeah, so we do 2 verses now. And most time you don't do no band chorus through the verses. So Groovy Monarch, of course you won't get extra verse, and expect a real energetic, dynamic performance. You know, the voice will be in tune, of course. I'm going through a little thing right now, and expect, you know, a whole lot because I'm practicing more than I ever practice. The team that are working with me, they're making sure I stay in line and get things together. I'm not waiting. Normally I wait until 2-3 days before, and since you know I performed in the preliminaries, I start getting ready for the semi-finals.
Okay.
I haven't been in the semi-finals for a very long time in Groovy. I won it before. I came second, third. all different positions, and I want to put my mark and let people know I am a groovy artist, and I'll be there.
Okay.
And come the big night, you know what I mean? Because the work that I'm putting in, I'm not scared. I want to say to the young artists that they are doing a fantastic job. I'm enjoying the music, and I want to thank the people who was in the show on Friday nights when I performed. That was the second night of Groovy Preliminaries. I want to say thanks to Keith, Pepsi, and the whole crew, because you gave everybody love that night. It was a good show, and they show appreciation for what we was doing. And I want to say thanks to them, because you make a difference. You make a difference. Even every artist, the way you show love, I want to say thanks to this crew, the whole crew. But I remember two people when I was on stage, Keith and Pepsi. Yeah, and I want to say thanks and continue to support good music.
Randy, thanks for joining us this morning. As I said, this is just a start. You'll be back before the season, and all the best. Get your voice checked, and enough love, man.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Pleasure.
And let's have a peaceful carnival. Enjoyable carnival. Spice Mass 2025. There is no other. We are number one. And let's keep it that way. Get rid of the violence. We are a fun-loving nation. Let's continue to go by that brand. Peace out.
Thank you, folks. I've been speaking there with Randy. We take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation.
Attention all divers, snorkelers and underwater enthusiasts. Effective May 15th, 2025, all visitors to the renowned Mullinair Underwater Sculpture Park will be required to pay a small fee of US $3.50 or EC $10 per person. These fees are essential to support the ongoing maintenance and repairs of the sculptures, as well as the development of new features to ensure the park remains a world-class attraction. Payment can be made through the Grenada Tourism Authority's online payment portal, available on the Pure Grenada website, www.puregrenada.com. We thank you for your support in enhancing this extraordinary underwater product. This announcement is brought to you by the Grenada Tourism Authority and the Ministry of Tourism, dedicated to protecting and conserving Grenada's resources for the enjoyment of all.
JKT Entertainment is bringing the heat. It's time to feel the sound and smell the burn. Bass and burn, cars and noise. The automotive experience of the year. July 26th and 27th at the National Stadium Car Park. It's 2 days of adrenaline-fueled madness with over 30 show cars from Trinidad, including Lethal Auto, MacGyver Sounds, and Simplicity Creations, plus Grenada's own beasts bringing the noise.
He'll say your back, come touch me then.
Early bird tickets are just $50. After that, it's $60. Get yours now at gotofed.com and all authorized ticket outlets. Gates open at 11 a.m. on both days. Sponsored by Country Cold Store, SP's International, Campari, Stag, Rubis, Fast Print, Waggy Tea, GMC, Rainbow Janitorial, Eco Blue, Spice Style Automotive, and McIntyre Brothers.
I'm ready to defend my crown. Iguana will be performing live, defending Caranage Soca Monarch. All you think a little curry meet me on the stage. July 25th, 31st, and August 8th. Meet me on the stage.
We wild, we in style. When you see me chilling on that branch by myself, no company, no friends. Oh my gosh, I stumble when I meet a tumble. Woman coming up bungle, wanna come from a jungle. Oh my gosh, I stumble when I meet a tumble. Woman coming up bungle, wanna come from a jungle.
Fly
Friday Jones, swoosh, it's Lava Man, and you already know the energy. It's all about GBN Spice of the Carnage Soca Mona competition. This year is going to be greater, bold, and more exciting than ever. And it's all about the quarterfinals on the 25th of July. The 31st of July will be the semi-finals, and August 8th finals. Artists, if you think you have what it takes to own the stage, now is your chance. Get there, be there, see you there. Lava Man, the real mad one. Fly the Jones, swoosh, GBN Spice of the Carnage Soca Mona competition.
We doing that. Hey.
Ladies and gents, good morning. Welcome to the conversation. I hinted to you earlier, as a matter of fact, as early as yesterday, I told you that we'll be having a high-level delegation in the studio this morning. I can tell you that security is at its max. The building is properly secured, so so. All right. We all know one of the biggest topics in the media and otherwise is the constitution reform that is being talked about at this time. So many people are. I never realized that the average Grenadian was so into this constitution thing. You know, I mean, I'll be honest, I myself, I am not very, very okay with the document of the Constitution of Grenada, so I don't even know all my rights, because to me, it's hard to say. The Constitution is like the Bible to me. I read it off and on, and not an in-depth study. I haven't made it an in-depth study. But ladies and gentlemen, this morning, to my extreme right is King's Counsel Ruggles Ferguson. Mr. Dave Ned is next to him, and Mr. Giovanni Thomas is here. And Giovanni and Dave, you're representing that organization. What's the organization?
We are the Independent Caucus for Constitution Reform.
The Independent Caucus for Constitution, ICCR.
ICCR.
Okay. And Council?
Yes, the Citizens for Constitution Reform, CCR.
Okay. Yes. All right. So there's. I'm gonna act as judge this morning. All right. There is some measure of contention. All right. By the I would refer to the ICCR as the claimants. All right. And Council would correct me. Okay. You have an issue. Okay. What exactly is that issue?
Good morning. Good morning to Grenada. And in a sense, there must never be contention when we're discussing our affairs. Our affairs must always be discussed in a manner that's respectful, that takes the will of the Grenadian people and reflects the will of the Grenadian people. So ultimately, what we're looking for is a situation where we can all coexist on this little rock called Grenada, and we can do so peacefully.
Okay.
And for that, we have to establish rules. And as it is now, we are governed by what we call a supreme law. And the supreme law is enshrined in the book that you're not so au fait with. But it is something that every Grenadian should become familiar with, because familiarity, once you become familiar with that document, it changes your perspective. What is a good citizen? How is a good citizen valued, assessed? Okay? And our existence here is to produce good citizens.
Right.
So you have to be aware of the rules and regulations that basically defines the relationship that you have with those that you elect to represent. And I mean, you defined the word on the last program I did here. Because representation is what this is all about. And this is where the core of our issue lies. Because the CCR claims that they would like to take a bill to the Parliament. Our understanding, and we could be wrong, we're subject to correction here, is that the bill wants to be processed in the Parliament within the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Okay.
And what exactly is that bill? What is
I would prefer that Mr. Ferguson introduces what the bill is in its entirety. So,
Council?
It's his bill.
What's the bill?
It's his bill.
What's the bill?
Thank you.
It's his bill. It's his bill, including the one that we're going to have at Prickly Bay or somewhere tonight.
All right.
Yes. Good morning all, and special good morning to my friends. And to Citizen Rulo, who I expect to be straining at the leash this morning to make calls and comments. Let me first of all say, and in response to the earlier comments made by Dave, that the engagement discussion is always important. Engagement on the Constitution and contention is not a problem. Contention will always exist. I agree that it should be respectful, and I always say I admire those who are not necessarily trained in law but take an interest in the Constitution. Not just in the Constitution, but other laws, and this I will always commend them for, and others who do so. So it's not about contention. The bills, and let me put it as simply as possible. This is, you refer to it as constitution reform.
Right.
And probably in its broadest sense, it can be referred to as constitution reform. But this is a single constitutional amendment. Constitutional amendment that is being proposed. Secondly, it will be the first ever constitutional amendment since we became independent in 1974. And we became independent, we became a sovereign independent nation in 1974. And we are moving in 2026 to our 52nd anniversary of independence. And in the Constitution, it has to do with the Pledge of Allegiance. That's all, the Pledge of Allegiance. So in the Constitution, we pledge allegiance to the King, his heirs, and successors. That's what the Oath of Allegiance says. A very short oath. And we pledge it to the King, his heirs, and successors. And the people who pledge that oath are parliamentarians, ministers of government, you have the Governor General, Supervisor of Elections, members of the Public Service Commission. And so when you are taking office, you have to pledge the oath of allegiance and the oath of office. So the Constitution requires this. Now there's a section in the Constitution, Schedule 3, which outlines the content of the oath. Right? The content of the oath, same, pledge allegiance to the King, his heirs, and successors. So this, all of this is about simply this: changing the schedule of the Constitution by replacing the words the King, his heirs, and successors to one word: Grenada. You pledge allegiance to Grenada. That's all what this is about. No. And we contend that there is no referendum is required for that. You can change the Constitution two ways. two ways. Well, let me say, first of all, the Constitution is structured in a way where you have what you call deeply entrenched provisions. Like deeply entrenched provisions would be like provisions dealing with fundamental rights and freedoms, for example. If you need to change those, you have to go to a referendum. So bills are passed in Parliament, introduced in Parliament, and they call bills before they become law. So you introduce them, and if it's an ordinary law, just any ordinary law, changing the Income Tax Act, you require a simple majority of the Parliament. So we have, and that's the House of Representatives, you have 15 members. If you introduce a bill and there are 11 members present and they vote 6-5, that bill passing, simple majority. The Constitution, however, is either for those sections that are not deeply entrenched, is 2/3 of the total membership of Parliament.
Which is 15.
So the total membership of Parliament is 15, 2/3 of 15 is 10, right? 10. So, and the deeply entrenched provisions, you need 2/3, and then a second step, 2/3 voting in a referendum. We say to change the oath of allegiance, you don't need a referendum. 2/3 of the people, 2/3 of the total membership of Parliament can approve that change. It is only about changing the contents of the oath. To put one word, Grenada. That is what it's all about.
So in essence, that change or that amendment is not being considered as deeply entrenched?
Right, it's not deeply entrenched. So you don't need a referendum for that. Okay. Yes? And I'll come on because I like, my friends, unless you want me to go on. So that is all about. So two bills are being introduced in Parliament. The amendment, Constitutional Amendment, Oath of Allegiance Bill. Two bills. The first bill addresses those sections of the Constitution for which you don't require a referendum. And I should probably, and those are outlined in a schedule to the Constitution. You have Schedule 1, you have Schedule 2, you have Schedule 3. Those are outlined in a schedule to the Constitution. If you want to know what sections in the Constitution require a referendum, you go to Schedule 1 and it tells you. Okay. Now, it lists all of those sections, including Schedule 2. So you're required to change Schedule 2, which deals with the Elections and Boundaries Commission. You need a referendum. It does not list Schedule 3. Right? And so the contention is you don't require a referendum because among those referendum lists, Schedule 3 is not listed, and Schedule 3 has to do with the change to the content of the oath. So that's the first bill. It mentions all of the sections where Schedule 1 say you don't require a referendum. And there's a second bill, Bill number 2, that addresses simply those sections of the Constitution that require a referendum and require the oath of swearing the oath of allegiance, and that's Section 21 that deals with acting Governor General, Section 35 that deals with supervisor of elections, and Section 83 that deals with members of the Public Service Commission. Now, these are deeply entrenched provisions.
So you need a referendum.
You need a referendum, but we say you don't need a referendum to change the content of the oath. So those are put in a separate bill, Bill number 2. So Bill number 1, Schedule 1, don't refer to them, so you don't need a referendum for them. Bill number 2 Ordinarily, to change those sections, you would need a referendum. But the sections, the substantive sections, are not being changed. It's just the content of the oath. So, for example, let me just give you a simple example. Section 35(3) of the Constitution, or thereabout, says that the supervisor of elections shall take the oath of allegiance. Shall take the oath of allegiance and oath of office before assuming office. So let's say that is what section 35(3) says. Nobody is going to amend that. After this amendment, it will say the same thing. It is not. So, for example, if we are going to say the supervisor of elections shall not take an oath of allegiance, or is not required to take an oath of allegiance, that's amending the section substantively, and you would need a referendum for that.
Okay.
However, it will say the content of the oath is in Schedule 3. So it will read exactly the same thing after. The only difference would be the content of the oath the supervisor is reading is a different content. Right? So that's all. Yeah.
So
your contention.
If I may, originally the CCR produced one bill, and they indicated that this one bill was sufficient to carry the idea that the oath could have been changed. Coming out of the discussions that we've been having, it is now our understanding that they are now presenting two bills. So they have amended their initial position. And I think it was Dr. Alexis, as the head of the CCR, accredited this grouping, the ICCR, for the contributions that we made with regards to that particular change. So that change was made. Our advocacy lies around the definition of, or the interpretation of what the oath is, and what the interpretation section of the Constitution in sections 111 defines as the oath. So I'll allow Giovanni.
Yeah, I was just going to ask to hear his youthful interpretation
to give
and
his
input.
youthful input.
So how does that proposed amendment, from your perspective, affect you and the demographic of people that you represent?
Well, okay, we'll get to that. Good morning, Innocent, and good morning to the listeners and viewers in Grenada. So, firstly, I'm not trained, as Mr. Ferguson would have said, I'm not trained in law per se, but I do have a deep interest in the Constitution. Particularly as a young person, I think it's critical that young people understand what is in the Constitution, because whether we realize it or not, the Constitution affects your day-to-day life. And it sets the parameters through which you will live your day-to-day life. So I think it's extremely important, it's critical that we understand what is in it. Now, Mr. Ferguson has said quite a bit, and I want to tackle it somewhat in stages. The first thing, if I'm understanding the argument correctly, is that Schedule 3 within the Constitution that contains the form of the oath of allegiance. The contention here is that Schedule 3 is not within that deeply entrenched list of sections or provisions that states that you need to go to a referendum. And therefore, as it's not in that special list, it simply takes a 2/3 majority in Parliament to change it. Our contention, the contention of ICCR, is that Schedule 3 is within that special list of sections or provisions that require the referendum to change it. Now, if you were to, for the listener viewers that probably have the Constitution next to them, if you were to open up to Schedule 1 of the Constitution, well, firstly, when you go to Section 39, subsection 5, it sets out or it defines what sections or provisions need a referendum to change. Right? That is, if I just open the Constitution here, so I can, just for the benefit of the listeners and viewers. So we go to Section 35, Section 39, 39.5. So So Section 39 of Section 5 states, a bill to alter this section, Schedule 1 of this Constitution, or any of the provisions in this Constitution specified in Part 1 of that schedule, any of the provisions of the court order specified in Part 2 of that schedule, or Section 3 of the West Indies Associated States Appeals Privy Council, Order 1967, shall not be submitted to the Governor General for his assent unless A, there has been an interval of not less than 90 days between the introduction of the bill in the House of Representatives and the beginning of the proceedings in the House on the second reading. So that simply says that it needs to be a 90-day interval in between the first reading and the second reading. B, after it's been passed by both Houses of Parliament, or in the case of a bill to which Section 48 of this Constitution applies, after its rejection by the Senate for the second time, that simply says that you still need a 2/3 majority in the House of Representatives for the bill to go through. The third and final thing, the bill has been approved on a referendum held in accordance with such provisions as may be on behalf of Parliament by not less than 2/3 of all the votes. Simply saying that you need a referendum and it needs to have a 2/3 majority in the affirmative. So the first thing refers to Schedule 1. So let's go to Schedule 1 and see what Schedule 1 says. So if you go towards the back of the Constitution, we see Schedule 1. Schedule 1, Part 1. It lists out the various provisions that require referendum approval to be changed. Point 1 is Chapter 1. Point 2, Sections 19, 21, 57. Point 3, Sections 23, 24, 29, and so forth. The contention by Mr. Ferguson is that you don't see Schedule 3 listed here in these sections. Now, interestingly, what you must look at is where it says Section 101 in its application to any of the provisions mentioned in the foregoing items in this schedule. What is Section 101, you may ask?
111.
Section 111. Right? You go back to Section 101. Section 101 says, in this Constitution, unless the context otherwise requires, and it lists various terms within the Constitution that it defines. And these are subsection 1. So when we look at Section 101 and we see Oath of Allegiance, you see it here. It means the Oath of Allegiance set out in Schedule 3 to this Constitution. So you see that in Section 101, it refers back to Schedule 3. Go to Schedule 3. And as Mr. Ferguson would have said, Schedule 3 sets out the form of the oath. It says, I, XYZ, do swear or solemnly affirm that I will faithfully bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law, so help me God. That's the background. So, when we look at the question now is, in what sections or provisions does Section 101 apply? Because again, it says, in its applications to any of the provisions mentioned in the foregoing items. The foregoing items simply mean what the provisions that came before it. So, of course, a logical question would be to ask, in what provisions does Section 101 apply? When we look at the sections or the provisions that are listed here, we see a few of them. Namely, Sections 21, Section 35, and Section 83 via Chapter 8. So let's go to Section 21. I just want to take through for the benefit of the listeners and viewers so that they understand what it is that we're talking about here. Because quite often we have the assumption that Constitution is very difficult to understand. But if you simply take your time and read through it, it finds very easy to understand. A secondary school child can take the time and read and they'll understand. So let's go back to Section 21 now. Section 21. Section 21 deals with the acting Governor General. So it says that during any period when the office of Governor General is vacant or the holder of the office of Governor General is absent from Grenada or is in any other reason unable to perform the function of his office, those functions shall be performed by such person as Her Majesty may appoint. Right? So it's saying that the acting Governor General, if the Governor General is not present, then the acting Governor General will take place. Subsection 2, which is a substantive section here. Before assuming the functions of the office of Governor General, any such person as, if aforesaid, shall make the oaths directed by Section 20 of the Constitution. Section 20 of the Constitution says a person appointed to hold the office of Governor General shall, before entering upon the duties of that office, take and subscribe to the oath of allegiance and the oath of office. Notice here how Section 20 says that the person that is taking the oath of office, or the person that is assuming the functions of Governor General, shall take the oath of allegiance. Remember when I pointed out to you that in Section 101, it defines to you what the oath of allegiance is. I perhaps didn't read it for you, so let's go back to Section 101 and read what that says again. So we go back to Section 101. It says the oath of allegiance means the oath of allegiance settled in Schedule 3 of this Constitution. What's Schedule 3? It sets out. So Section 101 defines for you what it is that the oath of allegiance, what it defines to you what the oath of allegiance is. When we apply Section 101, which again, remember, it sets out and defines the oath of allegiance. When you apply Section 101 to the foregoing provisions, so in Section 21, in subsection 2, in Section 35, subsection 3, in Section 83, subsection 11, we see the oath of allegiance settled there. So in defining, in Section 101, in its application to those provisions, it defines for you what the oath of allegiance is. So it would be as saying, in a sense, when you read Section 20 and it says subscribe to the oath of allegiance, what it's saying is subscribe to Schedule 3. Because Schedule 3 defines, there's that marriage, there's that link between Schedule 3 and Section 101, which defines the oath of allegiance.
Okay.
So we'll go in more in detail a bit later on, but I just want to set up that background so the viewers can understand.
Okay.
Counsel,
yes,
I want your rebuttal here.
Yes, well, first of all, let me commend again, youthful face. I see the guru, my friend Ned, is passing the baton to the younger generation, and that is good. Yeah. And I must say again, I admire the interest in the Constitution. It is not as easy as I think he's making it out to be generally, but of course you have different levels of intelligence, and he is able to understand it. But you see, the Constitution and interpretation of the Constitution is not about reading words, just merely reading words. Like there are rules, just like everything. You play cricket, there are rules of cricket. You play football, there are rules of football. The rules of football don't apply to the rules of cricket. In law, you have what you call ordinary legislation. Those are acts passed by Parliament that do not require any special majority. All you need is a simple majority. There are rules of interpretation for those kinds of acts, including like natural and ordinary meaning, the golden rule, purposive approach in interpretation, the mischief rule. All that. There are rules. There are actually rules that you apply. Those rules even are different from the Constitution, where there is not that strict interpretation. You don't read a Constitution and interpret it simply by words. And let me say, and that's why even this debate is great. And for me, why the debate is great is because it generates interest in the Constitution. So that is the main kudos that I will give on any debate, because, for example, now people referring to Section 39.5, Section 111, Schedule 1, Schedule 3, ordinarily you wouldn't hear those things being referred to, except probably in a courthouse. No, when you're interpreting the Constitution, and this is by case law, you have to look at several things. And the Constitution requires, as has been established through cases over the last century, a generous interpretation. As opposed to ordinary law, strict interpretation, you interpret the Constitution generously in keeping with its historical context and in keeping with the modern period. So, for example, how a matter coming before the court in 1975 or 1976, immediately after independence, may be treated then, may be treated differently now.
Because of the generous
interpretation.
Okay.
So let us just use the practical example of this, and that is my main point. Listen, whatever I say about the interpretation of the Constitution, that's a personal opinion. Whatever anybody says is a personal opinion. When one feels strongly about it, the only entity that can make a determination and can pronounce on what it means is the court. So that's why I always say, if one feels strongly about it, then you get an interpretation from the court. The court may or may not agree with you. And so the point for me about this is not about referendum or no referendum, right? That is important. And you might even have a matter like this going to the Privy Council. With the best brains addressing it, and they may come down. There are 5 members of the Privy Council. They might come down 3-2, right? This is not for mass determination as to whether or not you go to referendum. Those are questions of law for the court to determine, right? So even though I express an opinion, I may not be right. My friends may be right. However, what this is doing is really distracting from the main issue. And when I say distracting, I mean when we go into interpretation and no interpretation, for the masses out there, nobody would understand with Section 35 in a session like this.
Yeah, and subsection
right?
111.
Subsection 111 schedule.
That one
right?
sticks with
Yes.
me.
Right? So I'm saying the main issue is this. Should we, as an independent, sovereign nation, 51 years after independence, still have to take an oath of allegiance to the king, his heirs, and successors? And check the irony. Every 5 years, you have elections. Who sits in Parliament, in the House of Representatives, is determined by the elections every 5 years. And who vote? The people vote the parliamentarians in to represent them. The people sing the anthem, "Hail Grenada, land of ours, we pledge ourselves to thee." The pledge that we repeat is to Grenada. Now you are saying that when the people of Grenada elect the parliamentarians, they must then go and swear an oath of allegiance to the king? 51 years after independence, in the era of reparations and all of that. That is the central issue. We cannot determine here, either here, and I love the debate. That's why I took time off. And I always feel that those who, and I want to make the point again, it's not about condemnation, right? For me, it's about encouragement. Let's have the debate, let's discuss it, etc. No problem. But at the same time, we have to remember the main point, right? And I am very certain that over 90% of Grenadians, when you ask the question, they would say yes. No, this oath, and I want to make this point again, affects only those who have to take the oath of allegiance. Who has to take the oath of allegiance? Our parliamentarians. And we have 28 parliamentarians, 15 in the House of Representatives and 13 in the Senate. The single largest block of people affected would be the parliamentarians. Then you have the Governor General, Section 20. You will have the acting Governor General. You will have the Supervisor of Elections. You will have the members of the Public Service Commission. If you combine all of them, they're probably about half of the total members of Parliament. Because ministers have to take it too. But to be a minister of government, you must be a parliamentarian. Either a member of the lower house or a member of the upper house. So these are the 28 people most affected. Now, are you going to tell me in 2025 that you are going to have national consultations, right, to determine one question, if parliamentarians should take the oath, and to tell them they need to take an oath, they need to take an oath to the king? Just check out, right? When you look at it, are you going to have a referendum? Are you going to tell me Parliament set up in the Constitution, Section 38, which says Parliament may make laws shall make laws for the peace, order, and good government of the country. That's the Constitution has set up Parliament to do that. And are you going to tell me? So I hear about consultation and process. Right. Listen, I always say, we must not let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Do we want the change or not? And the answer is yes. It is almost, it goes to our own self-respect, our own self-esteem, and the power of what we can do or cannot do. And even in a court, taking a greater sovereignty, they tell me the parliamentarians who the Constitution says shall make laws can't make a determination of something as simple as the content of the oath. The content, not doing away with the oath, but the content to put one word, Grenada, to replace the king, his heirs and successors. In a sense, if we can't do that, then we have a major problem. If you had to say the parliamentarians had to go consulting people all over the country, then that is a major problem. So, with what? If we can't do that, then we can't do nothing in the Constitution without a referendum.
So let me interject here and ask a question, right? From the ICCR's perspective,
I could understand your confusion. We confused too.
Yeah,
the name's really close.
Yeah, CCR and ICCR. Yeah, but is it a fact? Is it a point where, from ICCR's perspective, if that amendment is made with the oath, the content of the oath, not the oath, but the content of it, the wording of it, is it a case where ICCR is concerned that if that is able to be done without a referendum, that other things that, as Council said, that are more entrenched could take that same procedure? Is that the main concern?
Very important, very, very important question, in a sense, because if you look at Schedule 3, Schedule 3 contains two oaths. We are today addressing the oath of allegiance, but Schedule 3 also includes the oath of office. Now, if King's Counsel Ruggles is advising us that we can go to Parliament, we can suspend the rules of the Parliament, we can pass the bill to amend the oath in one sitting, the oath of allegiance. But the oath of allegiance and the oath of office, they're both in Schedule 3. So it means that they can amend Schedule 3 at will. But the oath of office requires the parliamentarians to swear to honor, to uphold, and to preserve the Grenada Constitution. So they would be amending the said Constitution. They would now have the authority to amend the very Constitution that they have taken an oath to preserve outside of the referendum procedures. So we want to point that out, that when we make changes, we must be aware of the implications, and we cannot just change for change's sake. So, Ruggles, if I may, made a comment that our constitutions must be generously interpreted. All right? But the Constitution prescribes how it is to be interpreted. What is the basis? What are the principles? What are the aspirations? And it is clear. When you go to the preamble of the Grenada Constitution, you will see that the Grenadians have affirmed that, one, the nation is founded upon principles that acknowledge the fatherhood and the supremacy of God. Our oaths are taken, so help me God. So when you interpret the Constitution, you have to apply that. When you interpret the Constitution, you would recognize that spiritual development, and it says so here in bullet number 2, is of supreme importance to the human existence, and it is the highest expression thereof. And it is the aspiration of the people of Grenada to serve that end with all their strength and resources. That is what is used to interpret the Constitution. There is the belief firmly in the dignity of human values and that all men are endowed by the Creator with equal and inalienable rights. Your rights does not come from the parliament of the country. It comes from a higher being. So when you interpret what rights are and how you apply, you have to understand that your rights comes from the Creator. Okay? Now, what is important here? The Grenadian people, and it is whereas the people of Grenada. So whereas the people of Grenada express their respect for the rule of law. That is to be applied when you interpret in the Constitution. Right? And the final instruction to the Constitution itself, it says, whereas the people of Grenada desire that their Constitution should reflect the above-mentioned principles, the Constitution must mirror the above-mentioned principles that we just spoke about and beliefs. And it says, and it qualifies, those principles and beliefs represent the high ideals upon which our nation is founded. And then the Constitution must then make provisions for ensuring the protection of rights and freedoms. So even before the Constitution protects your rights and freedoms, it must ensure that all of these values, aspirations, beliefs, desires are reflected in the Constitution. So whenever you try to interpret the Constitution, this is what you apply. But I want to say this, because we have to be very careful. There is a difference between understanding the Constitution as a citizen, as an ordinary citizen, and the interpretation now of the Constitution. The interpretation of the Constitution comes about when there are technical issues that needs to be clarified. That does not stop the ordinary person from reading, and as Giovanni pointed out clearly, once you follow the instructions, you can understand. So, and it is the duty of the ordinary citizen to understand his laws. Those are his laws. It's not the laws of the parliament. Those are the laws of the people, a higher authority to the parliament. And that's what we have to understand. The lower authority is now coming and meeting us, our representatives. There has been no consultation by a representative on this matter going to the oaths of changing the oath. The constituency in St. Mark's can see that somebody came to them. Their representative came to them.
You mean the constituents?
The constituents. Yeah. Constituency, yeah. They can't say that a representative, what we think, what are we going to do, and the people says, well, go to Parliament and pass the bill. Can't be said about St. David's. Can't be said about St. Andrews. But the representatives are not going to Parliament. But who are they representing? Whose views are they bringing to the Parliament to discuss? And that is the issue that we have.
Yes. I remember, before you come in, King Council, I remember having a conversation with an elderly wise man as it relates to politics in Grenada, when they were making comparisons as to who is a good leader and who is a dictator and who is and that wise man said to me, any good leader must have some dictatorial traits, meaning if every single thing that you have to do as a leader, you have to come and ask the people that elected you to do it, then
when did you vote for a leader?
I voted for a representative.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I didn't vote for a leader.
But
we don't have a leader.
Innocent, yeah. Just let me come in here, right? There's something called realism, and I am all for, and I live it. For the last 25 years straight, I've been doing public legal education. This is the 25th year in a structured way. And what I do reflect not my opinion, but just simply reflect what the law is. No. In response to my friend, Dave, here, listen, the Constitution, part of what the Constitution does, it outlines fundamental rights and freedoms. It outlines the structure of government. In other words, how government is structured. And you would hear about the separation of powers. The executive has a role to play, the legislature has a role to play, and the judiciary has a role to play. So, and the role of the legislature, and the legislature is reflected in parliament, is law making. The role of the executive is policy making, and the policy makers are basically cabinet, right? In which ministers of government sit. You can't be a member of cabinet without being a minister of government. They set policy. No, if you had to have order as opposed to anarchy, you think every decision, right, that you have to make, you had to consult on it? There would be, that is a formula. First of all, it's impossible. And secondly, it's a formula for getting nothing done. You know, there are some who always tell you what not to do, right? Or what you're trying to do, you can't do it because of some technical issue or consultation and so. But they don't say what to do, right? Their role is simply one of criticism of everything that is done, because they see the people ultimately as the power. And yes, the people are the power, because not because you have to consult them on every issue. The people are the power under our system of government because they are the ones who vote in the parliamentary representatives and bestow confidence in them to do the right thing, and who should monitor them, right, and ensure they do the right thing. But they are the ones, not even cabinet. Cabinet sets what is called the legislative agenda. In other words, they will say what are the different laws that we will pass in 2025, for example. And they said, listen, that we want to pass an oath of amendment, a constitutional bill. The CCR made recommendations since 2024, more than a year ago, in relation to that. In fact, the convener, Dr. Alexis, wanted to have this achieved because he thought it would have been nice to have it for the 50th anniversary of independence, right, as one of the features of the 50th anniversary. And there was a lot of debate on it, and even my friend said that the CCR took into consideration some of the comments made, and that's why it was divided, instead of one bill, having two bills, right? So over a year, you know, constitutional reform has been taking place since 1985, what we know, 2025, and not one sentence in the Constitution has been changed. And you have all top legal minds. Listen, we can't keep ourselves back and saying, even in this case, where the single largest block of people to be affected are the Parliament of Grenada and the parliamentarians, and say the constituency representative must come and discuss this with the people, right? Or changing the content of an oath. Come on. The content of an oath, and not the content of an oath that will offer to us, right? Not pledging allegiance to, that is how it is, and they have to do it, right? So they have no choice, because that is the oath set out in the Constitution. And then some of the parliamentarians say, you know, when you do it, you just have to do it, because you have to take it before taking office. So all the parliamentarians would not have to do now is to take that oath, but they're taking an oath. So my friend is saying about schedule, the oath of office. The oath of office is not an issue here. The oath of office is not an issue, and precisely what he said. If you have a conscious, empowered people, you can, if the state wishes to do something that is fundamentally bad or fundamentally offensive to people, then you deal with it. You deal with it on a case-by-case basis. But you cannot, and I want to make a special appeal to the opposition too, because I've heard the comment made that, listen, and more from like supporters. Like, okay, in 2016 and 2018, we tried to achieve constitutional reform. And the other side block it. We must not do anything to make them look good. No, right? I want to just appeal. We need to move away from that thinking. Probably I should think so, because I was involved in 2016, 2018. But 2016, 2018, unlike my good friend, Citizen Rollo, who felt that the constitutional guru is lost, there was no loss. There was a win for the people of Grenada. Why? Because they became more conscious of the Constitution. That is why you have people now quoting sections in the Constitution. So it's a win. Every debate, whether this goes through or not, is a win, because people become more conscious of the Constitution. So that's the position I take. Sorry.
Before you come, let me ask a question, right? Do you think, and I'm asking the entire panel, do you think that if it was optional for when elected members of parliament have to take the oath, if it was optional because of the content of it, swearing allegiance to the king, the heirs and successors, and so forth, do you think if it was optional, some of them would opted not to take that oath?
In a sense, it is not an option, and that's the issue here. It is not an option simply because there is an arrangement that is the Grenada Constitution. The Grenada Constitution vested certain authority in somebody that is called His Majesty. That is what is written. And because of that, our public functionaries must swear to His Majesty, because His Majesty is who the people have invested the authority in the Constitution.
That sounds,
His Majesty.
It sounds odd.
It sounds,
to think of it.
It is not how it sounds. It is what it is. So His Majesty is head of the Parliament, and it says so in the Constitution, in the oath of office, that the same parliamentarians take the Constitution. So His Majesty is the head of that. When they go as an executive member, right, they have to take the oath again as a member of the cabinet. What does it say? His Majesty is the head of the executive.
Yes.
So that is what it is. So, if I may a minute, Ruggles. Ruggles introduced that this matter, since 2016, he has been advocating on these issues. We too have been advocating since 2016. And what I remember here, and I dug it up, it ain't looking too healthy because it's been beaten about, and the matter of the oath of allegiance was presented to the Grenadian people. A bill called the Caribbean Court of Justice and Other Justice-Related Matters, Amendment Bill 2016. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 items presented to the people. And when you look at them, you see allegiance would be sworn to Grenada and not Her Majesty. So when Ruggles makes this statement that the Grenadian people, there is a process for the Grenadian people to make a decision as to what they feel is right. So the oath of allegiance was presented to them in 2016, and they voted on it.
They voted in favor of it?
They voted that it should stay as is.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is the advert, the information that was sponsored, and I want to highlight the sponsors, because the sponsors were the CRAC, Constitution Reform Advisory Committee. The sponsors were the Grenada Bar Association And the sponsors again was TAMCC. Right at the bottom corner here. So this information is there. They have brought the oath before. It was voted, and the situation here is that we spent almost $750,000, possibly more, on a referendum in 2016
and 18.
And 18. I can't tell you what the cost was in 2018 because we have not researched that as yet. But we spent money. Dr. Alexis was the head of the craft at the time, and he advised on these issues. So how is it that in 2016 the oath of allegiance was necessary to go to reform, to go to referendum, but in 2025 something has changed miraculously, and it is no longer necessary for the people to have a say? And that is what Dr. Alexis is saying to us now, that on 2 occasions he went to the people because the people have to have a say. But on this instance, the people must not have a say. And we have to depend on our representatives who have not consulted us. Dr. Alexis has consulted. He's been on the road. Mr. Ferguson has been on the road. We see them. But where are the representatives? Which representative you've heard talk about the oath of office in the last 10 years?
Yes, sorry.
I have a hard yes, Mr. Thomas.
I want to come in here and perhaps respond to a few of the things that Mr. Ferguson has said. Firstly, Mr. Ferguson has made it out to seem as if the issue of the oath of allegiance is a matter of whether or not we as Grenadians want to, or representatives, or those in public office want to swear allegiance to the king. He has made it out to say that it's simply an issue of that. The thing is that that's not the issue. It's not a question of whether or not we as Grenadians, as a sovereign state, wish to swear allegiance to His Majesty the King. The issue here is the process by which we go about changing that. Because as Mr. Ferguson said, if you ask perhaps 90% of Grenadians, they would agree that yes, Grenadians should not be swearing allegiance to the King. Right? I'm of the opinion, I'm a young man, I'm appreciative of Grenada's history, and I'm appreciative of the monarchy and the symbolism, the things that it represents, its role in slavery. So I can understand why we as Grenadians do not want to swear allegiance, or no longer wish to swear allegiance to a king. That is fine, that is not the issue. The issue here is the process by which we go about changing that, because we have to understand what it is that the Constitution represents. There's a contract between the people of Grenada and the government. The Constitution simply limits, it sets out what are the powers of government, and it limits government's authority. The reason it does that is because the people of Grenada are, as a collective, sovereign. The government is simply the institutions of government are simply the means by which that sovereignty is exercised. So the government cannot, by itself or on its own, go about changing that contract. It has to consult the people. That's the first thing. So that's what the issue is. The second thing, Mr. Ferguson has made some statements regarding whether or not government should always come back to the people to consult on every law or every issue that needs to be debated. That's not the case, right? It says in the Constitution that government has the authority, and I'm not quoting directly yet, but government has the authority should go about making laws for the order and good governance and peace of the country, right? So government has the authority to do that when it comes to laws. But when it comes to the Constitution, that's a different story. You must again consult the people, because in the Constitution there are 2 parties to the Constitution. There's the people of Grenada, and then there's His Majesty the King. The Constitution simply sets with that relationship between the people of Grenada and the King. So if you want to go about changing the Constitution, you must consult one of the 2 parties. We're not going to be consulting His Majesty the King, so you must consult the people. And the way you consult the people is through a referendum.
Okay. All right.
Yes. Well, all of this just again emphasize the need for more discussion, more public education in relation to the Constitution. I understand what my friends are saying, but with great respect, that is not how you first of all interpret a constitution. A constitution is part of the laws. It's just the supreme law that stands at a higher level. So there is nothing about you having to change a constitution, and therefore, as opposed to an ordinary law, you must come to the people on it. It depends on what the change is, right? With everything, it depends on what the change is, because if government is to function, right? If government is to function, they must take decisions. And every day, cabinet takes decisions. You have ministers, people in authority, that take it. And you put them there, you put people there because you have confidence in their ability to do something. You know, if every time we get into a plane, we go by the pilot and demand to see the pilot license. You know, that plane will never leave the ground.
Yeah, we ain't going
right. In other words, I have a right to know if you could fly this plane. Right? It's the same kind of argument. And as I said, I give full respect for the engagement and the energy and so on, the time spent. But first and foremost, to my friend here, this literal interpretation of the words of the Constitution, that is not how it's done. So, for example, he said, listen, the king is the head of state. And the Constitution says, yes, the king is the head of state. Right? And the Governor General represents the king. In order of protocol, you have Governor General, Prime Minister. But we don't have an executive king. Like Trinidad, for example, is a republic.
So in
1976, they moved from Governor General to a local representative called a president. But that president is akin to the Governor General, right? With probably a little more powers. As opposed to Guyana. Guyana has an executive president. So, for example, the real executive, despite what the words of the Constitution say, the real executive is cabinet, the ministers of government. And the Prime Minister, even in our system, the Prime Minister determines who sits in cabinet. Right? Because that is how it's structured. The Prime Minister can change, and you know, you don't have to get the consent of the king, for example, if you have to change a Governor General, these things, right? So I'm saying we exist under what you call a constitutional monarchy. But you can't read the words literally. That is why courts, and that is why I say again, I offer a strong, vigorous view on this. But my view, I'm not a court, right? A court may pronounce differently. And as a matter of fact, if I am hard to deal with a matter as this, right, and say, well, you need a referendum, I can find a package that would support that and probably be some persuasive. And issues that my friends have not touched, right? But the point I'm making is, what is you think people, right? You change. And I'm happy to hear them say they support it too. So why you let referendum or no referendum, unless you feel that is not something that really goes to our self-esteem as a people, right? As a people with a particular identity who have come through slavery, colonialism. We have been, as a country, and since Uriah Buzz Butler, these guys, Eric Gary, Morris Bishop, Tillman Thomas, Keith Mitchell, Deacon Mitchell, all leaders, and I'm just referring to leaders, but they have all been for our country asserting its independence in different ways. Right? And we are people are clearly probably one of the most anti-colonial and conscious. And I'm saying that anti-colonialism comes with a level of consciousness. And it's really almost an insult to our ancestors to be fighting an issue as to whether or not, you know what I put that as akin to? You know, if there's a referendum in slavery might not have been abolished. Slavery might not have been abolished, you know, because the minds of people are so conditioned that we reject our own. We look outside. We look outside still. So when UE was established, everybody feel you can't get education in the region because we are capable, because we are accustomed doing it through England. Now UE is one of the top universities in the world. Right? We have our own institutions. Let us create them. And my position is, and that's where I would agree with people who say, listen, are we going for this minor thing? Let me go for the major thing. Right? Let us go for a Republican state, ideally. Yeah. And I agree with that. But you need a referendum for that. That you need a referendum for. So I'm just saying, let's take the low-hanging fruit. Yeah. And what we could change. As part of change, and we take it gradually.
Let's entertain a caller. Let's entertain a caller here. Good morning. We lost that call. I know Citizen Rulo is trying to get in. Go ahead.
Let me just interject here quickly. Because my friend here is making the claim that we have an executive government, that cabinet is in charge. Right? My understanding of the Grenada Constitution, and that is why process, I reiterate that procedure is what is important, because he's making the claim that the executive, the cabinet, is in charge. Let's read what the Constitution says.
Right. Go ahead, read it. Let me respond to it immediately. So read it loud.
So hold it.
Yeah, no, I say read it loud. I want to respond to it immediately.
You want me to read it louder than I was reading it?
Okay.
Because I thought everybody was hearing, you know.
All right, go ahead.
The exercise of executive authority in Grenada, and by executive authority, we speak of the cabinet of ministers, we speak of the parliamentarians, we speak of the
senators.
No. Unless they are members of unless they are members of the cabinet.
Cabinet, okay.
All right. So when you speak of the cabinet, whoever comprise the cabinet, that is who you speak of. The executive authority, the authority is vested in Her Majesty, His Majesty. That is what it says.
But that's the point I was making.
So hold on. His Majesty is in charge. The governor, through his representative, is in charge of the executive.
Are you taking us back to colonialism?
I am not taking us back to colonialism. Our constitution here is defining, and we take the oath, and the 50, less than 50 people that comprise, they all take the oath to honor, to uphold, and to preserve this.
Well, having heard
I am not taking that.
Having heard that, I think that we should hasten to get this.
And I agree, but listen to the issue. The issue here is process.
Okay,
we cannot just jump into it.
I would love to hear Citizen Rollo on this. Good morning.
Really, of course. Good morning, greetings. There's so much just here. Citizen Ferguson, greetings. And I need an hour with you, more than an hour. But let me tell you, I don't focus in on a couple of things here. One, when you say to the people of this here country that you are confident that more than 90% of the people will agree. You know, I tend to agree too. Well, okay, let's put it, there's an argument whether there should be referendum or not. If we put it to the people, they will certify it, and after that, se acabó el pan de piquito. In other words, the commerce will end. Put it to the people if you're so confident that 90% will agree. And mind you, I'm the only man in this country who says, quote unquote, Chuck the King, because I don't believe in him. But a word was just used, the procedure. I just want to refer you, well, let me put it into some questions, Mr. Ferguson. One, do you agree? And these questions were posed a couple days ago and you refused to answer Monday night. Do you coincide with, or can you confirm or deny that in section 39, subsection 1, that prepositional phrase related to the alteration of the Constitution should be done, quote unquote, in the manner specified. Let me say, in the manner specified in this section of the Constitution. Can you confirm that, Mr. Ferguson? You will answer after if you want. But I know that is there. Blind as a blind. You hear me? The second question I'd like to ask you, to cut it short, is what importance do you attach to item 7 of Schedule 1, which states in context, Section 111 in its application to any of the provisions foregoing mentioned in this schedule, foregoing items mentioned in this, what importance do you attach, and you and your CC board crew, attach to that caveat attached, which is connected to Section 111, which will in effect decide whether or not Section 111 will assume the power of referendum. I'll hold it for now, but I ain't going away. I'm coming back. Have a nice day.
When you're coming back, citizen. I was disappointed I didn't see you as part of the crew today. But, so you are correct. Yes, the words you speak of are contained in Section 39.1. And Section 111, you're also correct that in Schedule 1, there is Section 111 in its application to any of the provisions mentioned in the foregoing items of the schedule. All that I'm saying, citizen. So you're right on both counts, it's there. But cherry picking on different words, different places, it's not the way you approach constitutional amendment. And more so, to your point, with the greatest respect, if you don't have to go to a referendum, my friends just said how expensive a referendum is. If you don't have to go to it, then why go to it? To spend money when you could spend that very money on other things for the development of the country? And as a matter of fact, I want to make this point too. You know, we all say about consultation and do this. And you know, when they say, well, there is a lot of the private bills. When I say private bills, ordinary legislation impact people much in a material way than even this. And you say, let's have consultation. Come and nobody coming out. Yeah. Right? You have to pay for that, you know. Nobody comes out. And even when you send it around, nobody responds. But I suppose the fact of consultation and the effort, then you say, well, they go ahead and do what? But this is not, if you have to put a question, so we say consultation, let's look at it practically. If you have to put a question to the people on this, what will be the question? Do we want our parliamentarians to continue swearing an oath of allegiance to the king? Is that the question? For consultation, ultimately. And these are things, as I said, that affect the parliamentarians. I can see issues like CCJ, Privy Council, you want to change something, fundamental rights and freedoms, pensions, these kinds of things you do, and I believe in widespread education to empower people so they understand. I will also, probably if I had to deal with this myself, I would take a different approach. But the fact is that the end product of what is being good should make us as a nation proud. And therefore, and let me say again, irrespective of what citizens says, irrespective of what he says, irrespective of what the ICCR says, or to quote him what the CC birds say, at the end of the day, it's a court that tells you what the real meaning is. But do you go to court on everything? Right? Everything? Even so, the point is, they say a referendum is needed. Those who have the power to set the legislative agenda say a referendum is not needed. So what makes their position a qualitatively better constitutional interpretation than the experts who have advised? That is the point. It's not that the state can't do it. They can do it. And they say, okay, we hear you, but we don't agree with you. And they have the power to pass the law, and unlike what my friend said, that, if it's ordinary legislation, in fact, there's ordinary legislation that is much more fundamentally impactful than some changes to the Constitution. That, and there's no requirement for consultation, but that is what you need consultation on.
I am happy that Mr. Ferguson is not a parliamentarian and is not in the executive. Because this morning, he would be in violation of the very oath of office that he took as a parliamentarian. But he's not, so he's okay. But my parliamentarians, they took the oath. And sections 106 of our Constitution gives a particular instruction. It says, this Constitution. And I have to put the back page up to identify it as the Constitution because, it's being used. This is not one that is on a shelf anyway. So it says, this Constitution. In sections 106, it says that this Constitution is the supreme law of the land. And subject to the provisions of this Constitution, if any other law is inconsistent with this Constitution, there's a clear directive. This Constitution shall prevail.
So what is the law inconsistent? What's the law inconsistent?
And the other law, the law that is passed by our parliamentarians, to the extent of its inconsistency, be void. We understand what void is, empty, null. Okay? This is what we are dealing with. So now let's go to the section that gives the parliamentarians the authority to pass laws, the legislature, the authority to pass laws, the power to make laws. All right? And it begins, subject to the provisions of this Constitution. So the Parliament only makes a law that is subject to the Constitution. And the Constitution tells you in sections 106, again, that if it is inconsistent, it's null and void. There is a process. And for what we are saying is that despite the patriotism that is being put in front of us, despite the desires, the memories of slavery, the memories of colonialism, the memories of the struggles out of colonialism, because it didn't happen in one day, right? We didn't just magically become independent. There were struggles. But the struggles were to create a system that would protect us from being enslaved now and in the future. And that is the issue. Process is what protects us. So we came from slavery, but we are not about now going into creating another mechanism to enslave us. And it says that decisions, certain decisions, must be made by us, not by our representatives, because the implications are bigger than the representatives. And that is why it has to be made by us, not a representative. So you take a lawyer sometimes, and then you say, well, you know something? Innocent, you and I, let's sit down and make a decision. Let's forget the lawyer, because we big people now. And whatever decision we make, we tell the lawyer, that's the decision. That's it. And the lawyer go and he draft up the papers, and he say, you all sign, and we sign. That's the decision. End of story. Yeah. So we are removing the lawyer now from that situation. The representative, because you would have had a lawyer, I would have had a lawyer, two lawyers, and we say, you know what, forget them. let's deal with this situation on our own.
All right.
Because we are the big people.
This is high law. This is
no, that is simple. That is simple common sense.
Yeah.
In the interest of time, gentlemen, because I know Council, he's extended his time.
Yes.
All right. But let me just ask this final question, and I'm asking this question on behalf of Grenadians, the average, ordinary Grenadians. How, and I want both parties' responses, how would the changing of that, the amending of that oath, the wording, from swearing allegiance to the kings, its heirs and successors, how would that affect us as a people? Just changing this, how does it affect us?
In a sense, everything is not material. The changing of the oath again brings us in line with our own identity, to recognize our history, our self-respect, our self-esteem. These are qualities and features that money can't buy. Right? Imagine, okay, this is an oath to the king, but imagine you had to swear an oath to somebody. An oath is important. An oath is fundamental in terms of what you do. And when you swear in an oath, so it's solemn and serious, right? And there is no taking away the oath here. They're just changing the contents of the oath. I want to repeat where I started from. All of this is substituting about 6 words for 1 word. The words are the king, his heirs, and successors. 6 words. And you're replacing it with Grenada. That is all this is all about. And there is no better time. What I would love to see, right? What I would love to see is we set aside partisan politics. For a while, it's about Grenada. It's about moving the country forward. And why we need constitutional change? Our adversarial politics, it has its advantages, but it stymies development too. Because it's about the fight between one party and another. Invariably, not just in Grenada, I'm talking about the system of adversarial politics. What we want to have is more people's involvement and more patriotic positions. Listen, Barbados, Belize, Guyana, St. Lucia, Dominica now sit in the appellate jurisdiction of the CCJ. They enjoy the benefits of the appellate jurisdiction of the CCJ, right? None of them had to go referendum. That is at the level, mature politics, opposition and parliamentarians agree. All of us, I won't come on this program if it is about some surgery or some medical issue. I'm not trained in that, or some engineering point. I have to stay in my lane. Right? I am not a pilot to go and question the pilots about the plane. Right? I will ask questions, general questions about things. I wouldn't do that. We can't draft a constitution. Right? Everybody drafting and taking all this word. And they're experts to do that. Right? At the end of the day is whether we have confidence in our leaders. Submitting an issue as this, right? That firmly reflects ourselves as an independent country. 52 years. I can't even believe we're having a debate on that issue. And the debate on process, that is more for me an educational thing, right? It matters not whether I'm right or somebody else is right. Because those who are responsible for making the change are satisfied that it does not need a referendum. I might be screaming, just like my friends here, that I need a referendum. But it is not the issue. The issue, even though I believe it's a referendum, and one of these things you could say, boy, it's on the edge. Just like discretion. A police could charge you today, but the police would say, listen, man, go on, just give a little warning. I'm saying it's the approach to life. So you won't go and challenge something like this. Remember, I was talking to one I consider probably one of the foremost constitutional experts among certainly the top 3 constitutional experts in the region, on a view on a certain aspect of the Constitution. And you know what? His response was he gave a particular view, but he said, well, who go to court to that? You're going to go to that to what? Establish whether or not our parliamentarians at the end of the day must take an oath, and they are the ones facing it. Not the mass of people. We are already pledging allegiance to Grenada. It brings it in line with what the people are doing. So I'm saying it's not one of the issues. As I say, there are differences that make a difference. This one is not one that makes a substantive difference. We should all applaud this as people with our own history and everything. And I would love to see, that is what I would love to see, on Emancipation Day. There's a retaking of the oath on this Emancipation Day, August 1st, which is a holiday, and all parliamentarians, all, whether opposition, government, they retake the oath symbolically on an Emancipation Day. That sends a powerful message.
And the oath should be a swear allegiance to Grenada.
Of course.
So let's take it. Let's take it right there. We're swearing an oath to Grenada. What does that mean, Innocent?
That my interpretation that we no longer swear allegiance to.
So fortunately now, it is not your interpretation. It is not King's Counsel Ruggles' interpretation. It's not my interpretation. It is what the Constitution says. Now, if we carefully look at this issue, swearing an oath to Grenada, right? Is it necessary? If we are removing the oath of allegiance from Schedule 3, which we have already explained, one, the Constitution of Grenada encompasses a contract between 2 parties. The people of Grenada, and we are agreeing on that. The people of Grenada and the king. We agree on that.
The king? No, I don't agree on that.
So the king is not a part of, of this Constitution?
Yes, it's part of the...
So we agree.
Right,
so we agree.
On the structure.
So
but not as you say it. Not as you put...
Well, I'm saying... So let me say it again.
Okay, go ahead.
That this Constitution is a contract. The instructions in the contract comes from the people of Grenada, and it says here so clearly in the preamble, whereas the people of Grenada, and they list their desires, their affirmation, and it goes on to say, now therefore, after we identify all of these values, aspirations, desires, now therefore, the following provisions shall have effect as the Constitution of Grenada. There's no constitution unless we take these issues into hand and the instruction that comes from the people. That's it. It is the people. No, the council has advised us to stay in our lane. And we're staying in our lane. Right? We are staying in our lane. We are the people, and it is our vote that decides on these issues. That is why it must come to us so that we could bat in our lane. We don't want to go in the lane to have to interpret.
But that's
we
what
are
you're doing.
Understanding, and it must come to us. So if our interpretation is wrong, we will change it to reflect what we want, because it is our vote.
Yeah, but
we will not allow 9 people in a cabinet, 15 people in a parliament to make that decision on our behalf.
Yes.
People of Grenada, reserve the authority. You are serving at our pleasure. Your authority is limited by the contract that we give you. This is a contract. And your authority is limited because in this contract it says you can only do so. You can only make laws, and let me read it. Section 39 is very, very clear that our parliament has the power to make laws. These laws must be subject to the provisions of the Constitution. Parliament may make laws for the peace, order, and good government. Every law must be subject to the Parliament, to the Constitution. It's clear. Okay. There's no ambiguity. There's nothing to interpret. We understand clearly what those provisions are. We understand that the rights that we have, because we are the ones giving the instructions. The instructions, when you go to the front of the Grenada, tell me if you see the parliament there. Read it and tell me if you see the parliament there.
No. Dave.
Tell me if you see the ICCR.
Where are the people of Grenada?
My
tell me if you see the ICCR.
I always say, admire energy. I really admire it, right? But we have to get real. And the point I'm making is,
so what is
right?
reality? No.
I'm just saying, and don't take my staying in lane out of context. I'm just saying, we have to be careful about the pronouncements we make there and how we interpret and the message we send out there as though that it is how it is done. All I'm saying, that is not how it is done, right? That is not how constitutions are interpreted, right? However, it makes good, interesting debate and so, but don't make these pronouncements. Right? Don't make these pronouncements without taking into account what the rules of the game are. Right? It's not what you think. Right? It's not what you think. Is what has been pronounced over the years and accepted interpretation by courts, and so these things are established. Right? So I'm saying that one, but I'm also saying, and I don't want to be gotten wrong. Right? And I'll give just an example. In the Privy Council, when certain of the death penalty cases were being dealt with there, and there was an application made at one time that the automatic imposition of the death penalty, for example, is unconstitutional. Right? You had debates. And the Privy Council on certain of these questions, important constitutional questions, now 5 normally sit. But you have with our final courts like 9 members, right? 9 members. And they sat the full panel. And you know what the result was? 5-4. 5 going one way, 4 going another way. And that is why I say we could stay here until 20 never, discussing about whether referendum required, whether referendum not required. And that is not even my focus. My focus on referendum is more educational focus.
Ruggles, the case in question, the death penalty case in question was from Grenada?
No. I just using an example.
Okay,
the example I'm using is not about the case. Forget what the case was. I'm saying the Privy Council, which is the highest court, right? Sitting as its full 9 members, sometimes split 5-4 on issues. These are not issues we can determine among ourselves. We can give views. And I respect all the views. My view, even my view, is not a view cast in stone. A court might disagree with me. But I'm saying that does not take away from what is the real question. Should we or should we not swear an oath of allegiance to the king, his heirs, and successors? That's the issue.
What the court cannot disagree with is a referendum, a matter that has been referred to the people, and the people take a decision on it. The court cannot.
But you what? Well, what? They cannot say so.
They could disagree with an instruction from the people by referendum. That is how do they do that?
High level that I could you're going into what is the stratosphere?
Because we have to understand.
I'm not trained for the stratosphere.
We the people are the ones who make the rules that we must live by. Nobody makes that for us.
A great work of educating, engaging on the Constitution and so, but you have to be careful, right? I wouldn't come here on a program tonight to speak about some medical issue, right? I might come as a layman, ask questions, but these are for the experts. I can't tell the surgeons how to do their surgery. They're following rules. They are trained, and I'm saying just like with law, right? There are principles of interpretation. It's not about reading some words and saying, right? Then anybody, right? Anybody, you could watch, right? One sentence. I had a matter once, right? That actually went to the Privy Council. There was a date for hearing it, right? There was a date for hearing it, and the appellants withdrew. Right, just before, and you know what is all about? It's centered on the interpretation of words. Right?
What would the words?
No, it's not important. It's not about the Constitution either. But I'm just saying we'll have differences. And compelling differences on interpretation. But I'm saying that is not a question for us. Those who are passing it, right? Those who are passing it are satisfied that you don't need a referendum. I also don't think so, but my opinion doesn't really matter, because those who are responsible for setting that agenda feel that it's not required. I'm saying, to settle this question, we could have 200 of these programs, and probably at the end of it, be gone further apart. Let the court settle it. If you feel so strongly about it, let the court settle it, and probably might go up to the Privy Council too. And I would respect your rights.
The constituents who have elected representatives have the first right to disagree or to agree with the proposal.
No, I agree with that.
And if we agree with that, then there is no necessity to go to the court, because the constituents would be sufficiently empowered that they can make the decision. So hold on. The issue here is that we are trying to remove an authority from whence it is based, and we are clear on that. Whereas the people, right? We are trying to remove that authority from the people that they have fought for, because the authority now reflected in the people did not come by accident, you know. That only came there because of years of slavery, years of indentureship, and years of low pay, the mass struggles of Gary, the struggles of Maurice Bishop, I don't think there was any struggles after that. You know?
No, there are always struggles.
Well, the struggle now is to protect. Right? The struggle now is to protect the gains that we have had over the last.
Thank you very much. That's a good note to end.
That is the struggle now.
The next program will deal with that part.
And we have to, right? And we have to grasp.
Program. Yes,
gentlemen. Can we commit to the public that we'll have follow-ups?
Well, the young people are anxious to engage on this issue.
All right. But in the final analysis, right? My own taking from this, I want to make a comparison. This situation, in my interpretation, is like a group of people jump on a bus in Sates, and they claim we want to get to St. George's. Driver says, okay, I'll take you to St. George's. safely. The people are expecting to get to St. George's safely. The driver chooses the route. So he determines from his experience and so forth, I'm going to pass on the west side because they've just paved the road and it's safe there. Or I'm going to pass on the east coast otherwise. And the passengers are okay with that. What the passengers could not be okay with if the driver is saying, I'm a good driver, I can get you to St. George's even if I only have 3 wheels.
And
that was a question, innocent? No, just a comment. Yes.
And the harsh reality is that when the people entered into the bus, right, there were many buses they could choose from. But they might have chosen, depending on their age, they want to get to St. George's in 10 minutes.
Okay.
Right? The other might choose, look, this man is going to take an hour and a half to get to St. George's. This is the bus that I want to go on. Mm-hmm. Now, if that bus gets up now, if that driver gets up this morning because he might have been vexed with the wife or something, and he decides that he wants to get to town in 10 minutes, we have an issue.
Okay. Parting words, Mr. Thomas.
Right. So I just want to encourage all Grenadians that I think it's pretty clear that the question before, so the issue before us is pretty complex. It's not as simple as Mr. Ferguson is making it out to be, and that it requires a deep discussion. It requires a lot more discussion. We have to engage our parliamentarians, we have to engage our community members on the issue. So I just want to encourage everyone to really listen into the conversation, understand what it is that we're talking about, try and understand really what the issue is, and then make an informed decision from there.
Parting words, King's Council?
Well, I just use a practical example. 2016-2018 referendum, the point or the lessons is that we need no public education on the Constitution. People must know. 7 years, as soon as the referendum done, everybody go on to different issues. Everybody go on to different issues. In 1901, the Daily Gleaner published an editorial that said, it's time for us to have our own Caribbean final court in 2001. Then it was said, we're not ready yet, right? We need more discussion. It came more than a century after. More than a century after. A century after, people say, we need more discussion. Government has to operate, and when I say government in its broadest sense, they are decision makers. And good leaders take decisions. Now, there's a difference between legally approaching legal and maybe politically. It might be wise to do A or B. Legally, then it's correct to do A or B. It might be legally correct. But on a point of this, it's both politically and legally correct to make the change, because obviously, and my friend says here, we are benefiting from the struggles of our ancestors today, and we know what those struggles are. And this change is one of self-respect, self-esteem. Just think about it for a moment and not get sidetracked with referendum or no referendum, which I don't think is an issue in this matter. The issue is really, should we change to the king or not? It's almost an insult to bring that to the people.
Okay. Parting words, Dave?
We were led for the greater part of 400 years. We were led as a people. We were enslaved. As enslaved persons, we were led. As part of the colonial legacy that we have, the association with the British monarchy, we were again led. The British Crown elected a Governor General, and he led us. And I want to make this urgent call to the Grenadian people to distinguish between what is leadership and what is representation. Because we were led during slavery. You were told when to wake up, when to go to bed, who to sleep with, how many times to sleep in the night. We were told that. We were led. Our masters led us. In 1974, that ended. We became free people, and we do not have leaders anymore.
Yes.
That is the concept that we have to understand. They're not telling you that. They don't want you to know that, because we are comfortable as leaders. We are comfortable.
Okay.
They don't want the people to know that you're free. You have the right to make your own decisions. And that is what this constitution here says. Whereas the people, not the parliament, not the executive, not the Grenada Bar Association, not the ICCR, not innocent. No matter how much calypso you could sing.
But I love to see led in government, my good friend Dave, for about 6 months. I think we have about a cabinet, about 60,000. What? The cabinet will be about 60,000. Right? Everybody taking decisions.
No,
all right.
That's not what it is.
All right.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for a very stimulating and encouraging discussion, and I think it's timely. It's a good start. I do hope that management would permit us with more support to, endeavor to educate the people and encourage them to take up the Constitution and read the Constitution and be au fait with it. And in the final analysis, I do hope good sense prevail on this matter. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much for the time.
Yes, and thank you, folks. Continue
Always is a pleasure.
education. Yes. And I'm happy to see you, especially. Yeah. As a young
and there are many more like him.
Yeah.